Hello, Scrappy Peeps. Suzanna here today, and I'm sharing with you this two-page layout, sketch inspired. This is week 7 of sketches with 4x6 photos with Allison Davis from the Scrapbook Generation store. And I have, so the sketch is 2 pages, as I've done, and it has these banners up the top, as well as 4 4x6 photos and 1 6x4 photo. And then above the center strip, Allison has a bunch of flowers and butterflies in there, some of them that go behind the photos, so to speak. I am doing Halloween, so obviously flowers are not going to work, but my idea was that I was going to use all of the ephemera along where the flowers, so along that border. And the banners originally are different, three different pattern papers. I decided to use all of the same paper. The banners are also all exactly the same and angle straight away. I decided to make some of them topsy-turvy because I wanted it to look kind of like the falling sideboards of a haunted house. That was my idea anyway. And so I'm getting my banners all ready to go as the header and the footer above this center strip that is going to go all the way across the page. And you can see here that I created them all the same, and I don't like the look because I've used all of the same paper. It just kind of looks, I don't know, I don't like it. And so I decided I'm not going to cut each banner notched the same. Each notch is going to be different. So I'm literally going to cut my rectangles and then I'm going to notch each one. And I skipped that process, you having to watch that, because literally it's the same thing on repeat. And it was probably about, I don't know, 2 or 4 minutes of that. So then below the banners, you have a 1/4 inch striped strip. And so in the sketch, it calls for that being the same top and bottom. I want them to be different because I want to create a sky effect at the top so you can see my vellum clouds there. And then I want to create more of a land base effect down the bottom. So I'm going to use great headstones and haunted houses and other sort of more land-based, and the pumpkins. So this layout is about us carving pumpkins last October. And so I'm using what is the name of this collection? It's from Bella Blvd. It's the new Halloween. It just came out, Spell on You collection. And that cardstock is basil. It is, I will tell you, it is Desert Marigold. And so I've just taped the 2 pieces together there. So this is the basic skeleton of the layout there. Then it is just time to embellish it. So you can see I have the clouds, that teal aqua for the clouds at the top, and then I have the stripe that incorporates all of the colors down the bottom there. So I'm going to put all of my center elements and line those up so that I have a straight line that goes all the way across the page, and then the rest of the layout can be constructed around that, and that way try and get straighter lines. My photos printed with a slight, unfortunately they went through the feeder, and so there's a slight white border on the edge of a few of those photos, and so I'm just going with it rather than reprinting them. Ink and paper is starting to get pretty expensive. I'm sorry about this. I tried editing this out, and for some reason my video editor will not let me edit out. I need to switch adhesive rollers, tape dot rollers, and apparently I'm going to have to do that twice. Apparently I use a lot of adhesive on this particular layout. So literally just adhering things down. I am, for the most part, going by the sketch here, and so I've already explained to you my variations here. So again, rather than sitting and watching me adhere all of that down, I sped over that part. I actually just edited that out. And so then this is where a 6x4 photo goes. And I decided that there was no room for storytelling here. And so I was going to create a flap. I didn't print a white border around this photo, but that was perfect because now I can have a white border and then I have a flap that you can lift up and my journaling is underneath. And literally I have used that whole 6x4 space there to tell the story. The top underneath the photo is empty. And I joked with Mia, she was assessing my journaling, whether it was whether it met her approval that she could write something too. And she said, voila, pumpkins carved, done. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to stick with the journaling there. So that is everything stuck down. Now it is time to embellish the page. And so between the puffy stickers, the epoxy stickers, the cardstock stickers, and the die cuts, I'm going to just have fun filling up above and below the photos there. Again, in the sketch, it calls for flowers and it goes all the way across, and I'm just using those as placeholders. I don't want things to go all the way across because I think that's too busy. To me, embellishments serve as not only just design principle, but they also serve in part of the storytelling. So it either needs to be relevant to the story, and or it needs to be relevant to the design. And so if you have all of that busyness that goes all the way across, you don't have that visual triangle or a focal point that draws you in. To some extent, you could say that that 6x4 photo is the focal point. But what I liked about the way that I put my embellishments there is that you almost zigzag. So you start at the top left, and you'll see this when you see the full photo. You start at the top left at the clouds there, and then you zigzag over to your down and to your right slightly where you can see that headstone. And then you're going to go up to the clouds above the photo and then come down slightly to your right and slightly down and slightly to your right where through the photo to the pumpkin and the glass jars, and then you're going to go back up slightly to your right. So it's moving you like a zigzag across the page, and you'll understand what I mean when you see that full finished photo there. So originally my plan here had been that I was just going to use those vellum clouds that I distressed with some distressed oxide, but they were too clear and they didn't provide a nice crisp subject to look at. And so that's why I have gone back and I've pulled out my Big Shot, and I am going to, pardon my head there, and I created a few more clouds. So I will overlap the vellum over this particular cloud, but it loses the crisp whiteness, and so I'm going to use a variety of clouds that are going to be vellum, that white cardstock, and as well as some of the chipboard and ephemera piece clouds. I forgot that they were in there, but I also did want variety of size and bigger clouds because of the size of the photos, and the clouds that come in the collection are not quite so big. So you'll see an evolution of clouds that will appear up the top there, and as well as other bits and pieces of ephemera. I am going to pop a few of the clouds up. You will also get a little bit of dimension because you're going to have epoxy stickers, chipboard stickers, and puffy stickers up there. So there's a lot of variety and depth and shadow in that top space there. So you can already see here how I'm starting to create that zigzag. So you've got, instead of it just being all the way straight across, you can kind of see the movement that those clouds create and draw your eye across the page rather than just this constant that you don't really know where to look. If you've followed my videos, you know that design principles are important to me, and I find that it's an important part of the storytelling. I don't want to just look at the photos. I want to see a flow, somewhat similar to when you look at a magazine or you're reading a book with pictures. There's a flow that happens within that content, and you want that to work for you. So here, this is where my title is. In the sketch, the title is below the 6x4 photo, but I am going to fill that space, and so I like it up here. And I'm going to, off camera, use some Tim Holtz letter stickers for carving. So above pumpkins, it'll say carving pumpkins. Not a very original title, but those were the words that I had, and so I figured I have it all. I might as well use it and put it to good use. So you can see as I was going through the chipboard pieces, I pulled off the haunted house as well as the ghost wearing the witch hat. I will come back and fill in with some other things. Again, I have a lot of the ephemera and different decorative pieces here. Something to be mindful of when you are creating these 2-page layouts is the center, the seam that is actually going to be between the left-hand page and the right-hand page. Sometimes I will put elements that span both of those pages that I then need to cut in half in order to just unite them. But because those pieces closest to the edge are chipboard, those are harder to cut, and so I just was very mindful of what pieces I had there. So again, working with a variety of different pieces, which provides different height and texture and shadow to my page. And you can see the evolution here of the night sky up the top. And yes, I've got the stars down the bottom, but it's still, we're just going to call it night, right? And so that's more the land-based stuff, the things, the graveyard, the tree and haunted house, and what else is going to end up there? Chemistry, mixture, the witches boil and toil and hoot of owl and frog and test tubes and all of those fun things. So here I had pulled out a white cloud, and I've got enough white there that I wanted a little bit more color, and as I was digging through for another object, I found the gray cloud and then a few other things that are going to go down here. So can you see that zigzag going up and down across the page that I was referring to now that I've got a few more elements in there? So with this is a really tall element, and I didn't really want to cover anything, but it was actually perfect for taking out the distortion of Mia's arm as she was kneeling down to put in those glow-in-the-dark teeth for her pumpkin there. So sometimes the placement of your embellishment can definitely work to your advantage to cover up the white lines of your photo that's shifted off balance, as well as fix perspective and cover certain things. So I love the mix of colors in this. I am a sucker for Bella Blvd. Even though I don't have young kids and there's a lot of the cutesy sort of elements to it, there's still always tons of stuff that I can put to use for my non-cutesy younger kids. And that's what I love about Bella Blvd, as well as the really bright colors. I am a sucker for the colors in Bella Blvd, as well as it being white-based, and I am more of a white-based designer. So now I'm going through and trying to get in some of these puffy stickers. We are carving pumpkins, and of course the title is Carving Pumpkins. So I feel like I need to get a few more pumpkins down the bottom there, as well as not just the other Halloween things. And if I'm overlapping a flat element on top of chipboard, I like to get a little bit of foam behind that just so that it doesn't flatten down to the page and doesn't end up creating an incline on the page, because once you put it in the page protector and the album closes into it, it does tend to kind of level things out per se. So this holds that level in there. These are the epoxy stickers, and I'm always a little leery with epoxy stickers because especially over time I find that the epoxy stickers tend to yellow. I'm hoping that doesn't happen with these, but I won't really know for a couple more years. But that black cat, I figure, will not yellow. You never know. And it is what it is. They're just fun, and it just adds a nice different texture and finish to the page. So that, my friends, is my 2-page sketch inspired by week 7 sketch for the sketches for 4x6 photos. It's a class. Unfortunately, it's a closed class already. What happens is Allison runs a class. Probably, I want to say Allison does 2 or 3 a year. You pay your money, you get your sketches, and then there is a closed Facebook group that you can participate in and share your layouts and projects and see other people's things. And so that's where I'm going to journal, and then that is where I'm going to put carved pumpkins. So that is my finished layout inspired by her sketch with my twist, as you well know I'm very good at doing. So enjoy the close-ups. They're coming up. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them in the box down below. Thanks for stopping in today. I hope you're doing well. Come back again soon. Take care.